right, let's get into some classic rock news. I have a bunch. Robbie Robertson of the band passed away at the age of 80. The movie The Last Waltz was in honor of the group's farewell concert, which took place on Thanksgiving Day, November 25th of 1976 at the Winterland Ballroom in San Francisco. Promoter Bill Graham, who died in a helicopter crash in 1991, and director Martin Scorsese turned the concert film into a documentary, and huge artists included in the film were Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell, and Ringo Starr. Robbie Robertson, born Jamie Royal Robertson in Toronto, was raised as an only child, and his mother was of Cayuga and Mohawk Native American descent. Robbie became interested in playing the guitar while visiting the reserve with his mother, and listening to the radio was a regular routine for him while he was growing up. Me too, go radio. Robbie worked in a traveling carnival for 2 summers, starting when he was only 14 years old. Robbie was in several bands and continued teaching himself to play bass, and joined Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks in 2016. Robbie mentioned the Hawks in his memoir and how his previous group, the Suedes, had opened for them when he was 15, and Robbie remembered how influenced he was by their performance at the Dixie Arena in Toronto. The Hawks ended up leaving Ronnie in 1964, renamed themselves Levon and the Hawks, released several singles which Robbie wrote, and in 1965 had an iconic meeting with Bob Dylan, which led to Robbie and the Hawks to tour as Dylan's backing band for a few months at the end of 1965, and then led to more dates in 66. In 67, after taking a year off to spend time with his wife and to recover from a motorcycle accident, Bob Dylan invited the Hawks to write and record music at Woodstock in New York, and these private sessions came to be known as Dylan's Basement Tapes, per Jan Wenner of Rolling Stone magazine. The Hawks carried on after ending their time with Dylan and changed their name to The Band. The guys originally thought about calling themselves the Honkies or the Crackers, but the powers that be said no way. Whew, like, good thing, right? Especially the first one. The band released their first album in 1968, and music from Big Pink has an album cover art by Bob Dylan himself. I don't know if you guys remember that album cover, but totally iconic, and it's just crazy how Bob Dylan ended up creating the album cover for them. The guys recorded the album in a pink house, hence the name, and Dylan co-wrote This Wheel's on Fire and solely wrote I Shall Be Released, and also co-wrote Tears of Rage. Robbie both solely wrote and co-wrote several songs and was re-released in 2000 as a 50th anniversary super deluxe edition. The band blew up as Rolling Stone magazine loved them, and they were on the cover of Time magazine on January 12th of 1970. Eric Clapton once said that he wanted to be in the band, and George Harrison said that they were a very big influence to him. Robbie wrote most of the songs on their 1970 album Stage Fright, and Todd Rundgren mixed and engineered it. The band played Watkins Glen on July 28th of 1973 for the Summer Jam, which was compared to Woodstock, and besides the band, the Allman Brothers and the Grateful Dead performed. From It Makes No Difference to The Wait to The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down, the band had massive influence on so many musicians besides Eric Clapton, who said that music from Big Pink changed his life. George Harrison said that he thought about the band while writing All Things Must Pass, and there may have been some influence from them on the Beatles' Let It Be. After Robbie left the band, he did many things, including playing guitar on Ringo Starr's third self-titled solo album and played guitar on Joni Mitchell's Raised on Robbery, as well as Carly Simon's Mockingbird. Robbie recorded the album Beautiful Noise with Neil Diamond in 1976 and had himself a film career until his passing. Raging Bull, The King of Comedy, and The Color of Money are a few of the movies Robbie continued to collaborate on with producer Martin Scorsese. Other huge films that Robbie was involved in include Casino, The Wolf on Wall Street, and Gangs of New York, all movies that I have watched. I'm sure most of you have as well, so it's kind of cool to find out that. Robbie's iconic career with the band clearly gave him a golden-lined path to the life he would have after they disbanded. Robbie suffered a lengthy battle with prostate cancer and died in LA on August 9th of 2023, surrounded by family and friends. So many people were putting out posts about Robbie's death, and someone who I interviewed, Apollonia, she was very close to Robbie. So again, you just don't know. Like, it seems like his career was just so full after he left the band that he just made so many more connections. And sometimes that just didn't happen for artists that we grew up with, right? They just kind of either faded away or didn't do anything else in either the music or film world.